Hey YouTube, what's up? It's Kyle from KyleRaps here, and today I have a tutorial, which you can see below, is UISwitch with UserDefaults. Now basically what this is, it's a UISwitch which I personally use in my apps. As you can see in iPoke, I have a switch for the sound to go off. Now you can set this to whatever really thing you want. In an upcoming app, I actually have it set to a night mode, which turns on a night mode, and it saves your preferences just in case you don't want something to go away for the user. Say, like again, night mode, sound, or in this case, it's going to be the navigation controller, color, and the status bar. So let's get straight into the tutorial. We're going to first open up Xcode, and we're going to create a new project. And we're going to select single view application. And in here, what we're going to write is UISwitch with UserDefaults. In here, you can just write your organization name. You can write your company identifier, and your class prefix is not required. Now for device, we're going to be using the iPhone. So go ahead and select next, and then save this to the desktop for easy access. And let me just go ahead and resize this so it looks somewhat presentable for you guys. There you go. So you have the code on the left and the Xcode window on the right here. So first thing we're going to want to do, as you can see right here in the notes, we're going to want to go into the Info.plist. Now in here, we're going to want to add a new cell, and we're just going to want to copy and paste this part. It's called UI View Controller Based Status Bar Appearance. Now this means the status bar will be able to change depending on what view you are in or what your preferences are really set to. So once you do that, you're going to want to make sure this is set to no, so just set it to yes and then no, just to make sure. And once that's done, you'll notice it's changed its name. That's okay. It's supposed to do that. Once it's done, we're going to head over into the viewcontroller.h, and we're going to add a set of parentheses. And in here, we're just going to write IBOutlet right there, UISwitch, star, and in here, we're going to write switch. And don't forget the semicolon at the end. So what we have here is an IBOutlet to a UISwitch, which we'll be putting in the main storyboard here in a second, and just the title of the IBOutlet. So let's go ahead and do that. Go ahead over into your storyboard, and you'll notice we have a view controller here. What we're going to do is just delete the whole view controller, scroll down here until you see navigation controller, and just drag that in. And then you'll notice we have a table view. Get rid of that, go here, add a view controller, which really we could have kept, and just right click on the navigation controller and drag it over to the view controller. And then in here, we're going to want to select root view, which is under relationship segue. So once that's connected, you'll notice that this gets a navigation bar. Perfect. So now what we're going to do is look for a UISwitch. There it is. So let's just drag this right there. Now, with the new layout of iOS 7 and all this, sometimes things get messed up. We're just going to delete the extended edges so it only goes to the navigation bar. And hopefully this will be what I want. So after that is done, we're going to go into connections up here. And then make sure you select the view controller. Sorry, not connections. We're going to go to the identity inspector, where we can add our name, view controller. This is our class now, which is selected here. Now if you rename this, say, to view controller 1, you're going to want to name this to view controller 1 as well. Now we can head over into connections, and you'll notice our switch is there. So just take that and drag that down. Now you'll also notice that in the viewcontroller.h, we need a IB action. So what we're going to do is just add an IB action here. So dash bracket IB action, and then it should automatically pop up. And now in the selector, we're going to just write switch again, and then don't forget your semicolon at the end. And now we can head back into the main view controller, the storyboard. And then we're going to make sure this is selected again, drag the switch IB action onto the switch, and instead of usually clicking touch up inside, we're going to click value changed, as this value will change. This could be on or off. Now, automatically, I want this to be off, so what you're going to do is select the switch, go into the attributes, and select state to be off, and then it'll be in the off state, which is where we want it to go. Now we are going to get into some hefty code here in the .m of the view controller. So let's just get rid of all this code here, and we're going to rewrite everything. So yes, there'll be a small yellow triangle here that's only telling us that it is missing our IB action. So let's go ahead and add that. Bracket, IB action, switch. As you notice, it pops up. Just don't click that as it will add this extra part, and then you have this as well. So just click out of that. Now here, we're going to add a parentheses, give it a couple lines. Next thing we need to do is we need to add a UserDefaults declaring, so you have to declare. So go ahead and type NSUserDefaults star, and we're going to call it standard defaults. And then this is going to equal the NSUserDefaults standard defaults. Sorry, standard user defaults. And now we're going to put a semicolon at the end of that line. And on the next line here, we don't really need this at the moment, but what we're going to do is we're going to go if, and then click the first one here. And then the condition, we're going to do sender.tag. And then this is going to do 2 equal signs and then 0. Now in here, in the statement section, we're going to do another if, and then we're going to do sender again, and then we need tag again, and then we're just going to go equals equals again and 1. Next thing we need to do is we need to go ahead and add our UserDefaults key. So that is done by adding a bracket and then doing standard defaults, which we declared earlier, set object ID, and then for key, which will be an NS string. So the ID, we're going to have, this is like sort of setting your state. So if the switch is on, things will happen in this section. If it's off, as you can see over here, this will happen. So let's go ahead and type on in here, and then the key, we'll just give it the key name of key name without a capital K. Add the ending bracket here and then a semicolon, and then we're just going to leave that blank for a second. And then just after this bracket here, we're going to write else if, and then we're going to write sender dot on, and then equals equals 0. Now I did make a mistake up here, and this should not be tagged. This should be on as well as this one. So now we also need to add the parentheses. In this section, we're going to do the same things. So bracket standard defaults, and then set object, which is right there. And now this time, instead of on, it's going to be off. And then the key is going to be the same key as we set up here. So if we want to just go ahead and copy and paste that into this section, and then add a semicolon. Now, what this key does, it basically differentiates everything. So say you have multiple user defaults, and say you want to set this to, I don't know, like switch, and then let's say this was a different user default, you could set this to, I don't know, like button, and then it would save those differently. Now, we don't want that. Let's just name it key name. So it can be up to you. So Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add our code to sort of like make it do different things inside the app. So go ahead and write a bracket and then self dot navigation controller dot navigation bar dot, sorry, not dot. Now we're going to add, after a space, set bar tint color. That's what we need. Now we're going to add a bracket and then type UI color and then color with, oh, I think I just seen it. Yep, color with red, green, blue, and alpha. Now in the color with red, we're going to want to set it to 75.0 / 255.0. So this will be the 75, which in Photoshop is a dark gray. And we can set that to all colors. So let's just do blue and do green. Now the alpha, we're going to set it to 1. And if we want to go ahead and just copy and paste that into the next section, in the off section, and just get rid of a couple spaces, add 1, okay. So now, instead of 75, we're going to have it set to, let's go 255, which would be a white. This is like pure white right here. And make sure the alpha is set to 1, and don't forget your semicolons at the end of both. So after that's done, we're going to want to set the status bar color to sort of match the background of the color of the navigation bar, because if you have a dark gray, it doesn't really look too well with a black status bar. So let's go ahead and do 2 brackets and then UI application and then shared application, and then the next set of brackets in here, so not closing all of them, just closing one, we're going to set status bar style, and instead we're going to call it the light content. So just find UI status bar style light content, and then close the other bracket and add the semicolon. So what this light content does basically changes the text color of the black status bar usually to a white. So now if we want to go ahead and copy and paste that into the next line, we will have, instead of UI status bar light content, we're going to go with default, which will be the black. So I'm seeing some errors here, so what we're going to do is just go ahead and run it and see what we need to get done. So as you can see, I have the code over here just in case we ever needed something. So okay, so I see the problem. The ID, this is supposed to be UISwitch and then a star. So let's go ahead and change that in here as well. UISwitch and a star. Okay, now you notice those errors are now gone. So now, just in the last set of brackets here, you'll notice we have a code called standard defaults, which we declared earlier, and synchronize. This basically synchronizes it all and makes it happen immediately. So you don't have to set anything to say, okay, set this, blah, blah, blah. It's going to do it automatically and save it. Now we need another line of code, which is just down here, and it's the view will appear. Now, let's say the user sets on our switch and has the dark sort of theme, and they want to save that. When they come back in the app, if we didn't add this line of code, what would happen is it would show the white and they'd have to set it again. But adding this, it saves it, reloads it when the app is closed, which I'll show you later on, with exactly what you want. So we're going to go ahead and add that by doing a dash and then a bracket, and then we're going to go void and then close that, and we're going to call the view did appear and bool animate it, add the brackets here. Now we need to add the bracket super, and I think I just seen it right there. Yep, we just need to add that line of code, keep what it has, no changing, just animate it. So now on the next line, we're going to add the self.navigationbar.translucent, and then what we're going to do is we're going to set it to no. Now we want to set this to no only because the translucent color sometimes interferes with the color of the navigation. So if this instead was a gray, maybe it was a blue, the blue that you would want wouldn't be the blue that you would actually have because it's translucent. So the alpha sort of gets set differently. So let's move on to the next line. And basically what we're going to add is the same thing we have up here, except this will be different instead of the sender tags and everything. So just go ahead and copy and paste this line and paste it in here. So now we're going to do another if, and it's going to be a bracket, then you're going to add two more and go standard defaults and then string for key, and then in here we're going to type in our key name, and then just after the first bracket here, as you can see right there, we're going to add is equal equal to string, and then this is where we set it if it's on or off. So let's do on first, and then just make sure that's closed. Perfect. Now inside these statements, this is where we add everything that we added in the on section. So let's just go ahead and copy and paste that in. Now we also have to add one more line of code. Now this line of code will tell your switch to be on or off, so let's go ahead and type switch. And you notice it's the UISwitch that we declared earlier in our .h. And we're going to type on, and then we're equals, and then yes. Now this is telling the switch that it is on since we are in the on section, and it will turn it on if it isn't. So now what we're going to do is let's just copy and paste this if statement, and then paste it here, and instead of if only, we're going to write else, then the if. Now we need to change some things. So instead of on, this should be off, and then this should be no, because we want to set it to no. And instead of the 75, we need the 255. So we need the white navigation bar. And instead of light content, we need the default status bar. Alright. Everything should be done. You should be good to go. Let's go ahead and run this in the simulator on the 4-inch iPhone. Go ahead and click a run, and we will show you what we have. If you want to pause this right now, you can see all the code that we need, and as well as we have the .h up there and the thing. This link will also be to my website where I'll have all the code pasted, and you can get the video and all the code right hands-on. It's great. Okay, so here's our perfect. Boom. So, as you can probably tell, I've already run this before because I've made the exact same app with the exact same title before. So, let's just go ahead and close this because I do believe we set it to off, if I'm not mistaken. Let's just go look. Yep, it should be off, so let's go ahead and run this again in the simulator. Okay, perfect. So, as you can see, we have our white navigation bar, and oh, that's notification center, and our switch is off. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn it on. Now, as you notice, our status bar is the white text color, and it is the dark sort of looking navigation bar. Now if we turn that off, we get our black status bar, and our switch is off. Now if we go ahead and turn this on, and we just close the app completely, let's say they go into another app of mine, blah, blah, blah. And then they go back to the app. Notice it is still on, and the navigation bar is still like that, and the text color is still white. That is how you save things in Xcode using NSUserDefaults and a UISwitch. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I'll have many more coming in the coming week. I get a week off school, yahoo! That means we get lots more tutorials for the website and the channel. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed, and don't forget to click the like button also if it really helps out the channel and myself. And don't forget, if you have any requests for any tutorials, you can go ahead and suggest those on my website by going to the tutorial section and down in the comments below. That's it. That's all I have for you guys. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.